Now we need you. Drive the change. Support the shift. Following the building collapse tragedy at Kordin, TheShift revealed that the factory was being built illegally on government property. A Serbian contractor was building the factory on property managed by Indis Malta, the government agency responsible for industrial parks. Sources close to the industry said the concession was given to businessman Matthew Schcambry for a timber factory and offices. Research by TheShift shows that the building's permit was hurriedly issued by the planning authority last June. This was done through a development notification order, which is used to expedite the planning process. The architect responsible for the application is Adriana Samit, who works full-time as an architect at Infrastructure Malta. Samit also worked as a case officer at the planning authority for years. However, she failed to file a commencement notice with the PA and has not obtained clearance from the Building and Construction Agency. Failure to present this notice would mean the permit had never been active and any construction would be deemed illegal. Matthew Schcambry, the developer, is in business with Kurt Buhaja, the driver of Lands Authority CEO Robert Veller. TheShift discovered that Schcambry and Buhaja are shareholders in All Plus Limited, set up in 2019 to manufacture furniture and act as a construction company. Both business partners also come with a colorful past. Buhaja spent more than a year in a Ragusa prison in 2011 after being caught red-handed trafficking people between Libya, Malta and Sicily. Schcambry is currently facing court proceedings over the alleged hiring of foreign hitmen for an attack on his former wife's father in Slima. The collapse of the factory last Saturday claimed the life of 20-year-old Jean-Paul Sophia. Another 5 workers were seriously injured. A magisterial inquiry is ongoing. Beach concessions in Comino given to 3 individuals close to the Labour government were extended without a tender for at least 2 consecutive years. The extensions issued by the Malta Tourism Authority were given on the direct instruction of Tourism Minister Clayton Bartolo. While public procurement experts term these extensions illegal, Bartolo is playing the COVID-19 card. Opposition MPs Rebecca Borge and Albert Buttigieg have asked a raft of parliamentary questions seeking the respective contracts and explanations. But both ministers responsible, Silvio Schcambry for the Lands Authority and Clayton Bartolo for Tourism, refused to publish any agreements. They are citing the usual jargon, such as commercial sensitivity. Bartolo has even refused to state whether the concessions had been awarded through a public tender. However, Bartolo said the agreements were extended until the end of the year due to the pandemic and that a new tender is going to be issued at the start of 2023. This might give the current concessionaires another summer of business before the tendering process is concluded. The government was under intense pressure last summer with public protests by Moviment Graffiti over the abuse of Blue Lagoon's beach and shoreline. Justice Minister Jonathan Attard has refused to answer questions about a study to revamp the Freedom of Information Act. His ministry requested this study almost 2 years ago, following suggestions by the Council of Europe's anti-corruption body Greco. Despite the study costing taxpayers some €18,000 being submitted to the ministry, together with a draft bill, the report was shelved. Jonathan Attard, as well as his communications officer Jean-Luc Elul, refused to reply to questions. TheShift is now constrained to file a request for a copy of the report under the same FOI law which the government had promised to review. Carmen Jantar has been issued an enforcement notice by the Data Protection Commissioner ordering her to make her new contract available. Jantar, Deputy Prime Minister Chris Fern's canvasser and the CEO of the Foundation for Medical Services, FMS, has been enjoying a €163,000 salary. The enforcement order was deemed necessary after the FMS failed to meet its commitment to make Jantar's contract available to TheShift. In January, Prime Minister Robert Abela declared that her contract was to be revised after last March's election. Dubbed as irregular by the National Audit Office, Abela had blamed the contract on disgraced former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat and Deputy Prime Minister Chris Fern. While Jantar was re-engaged by Fern as the FMS CEO after this year's election, she is now refusing to reveal her new contract. It's unclear whether Fern paid heed to Arbella's orders and downward revised Chantal's contract. She's been given until the end of the month to make her new contract available. More Gossitans are expected to be put on the public payroll after the Gozo Ministry issued a new tender running at over €500,000 a year. Sources have confirmed this tender concerns the manning of 3 dry standing facilities that do not need much manning at all. Interestingly, Gozo Minister Clint Camilleri's latest employment initiative is in the fisheries sector. This is usually run by his arch-rival, former Gozo Minister and current Fisheries Minister Anton Refalo. The new tender invites private contractors to supply the ministry with full-time personnel to man the dry-standing facilities in Imjar, Marsalforn and Schlendi. Those facilities require no real government services apart from maintaining electrically powered winches that can easily be run by the fishermen themselves. In addition to flipping a switch to start the winch, not a daily occurrence, the tender also obliges the 24/7 personnel to monitor the CCTV system. For this, the government will pay the winning bidder around €600,000 a year. Thousands of Gossitan voters are now either employed directly or indirectly with the government. Many of those workers spend only a few hours at their official workplace while earning more money through additional undocumented employment.